revved up for more red-hot motorsport. It's the LG Super Racing Weekend with
Yokohama, power of performance.
Now on Eurosport, cars you see on the road every day, but you've never seen them go like this. It's the FIA European Touring Car Championship.
With KW, the Sports Shock Absorbers Specialist.
Welcome to Donington Park, round 8 of the LG Super Race, round 9 of the LG Super Racing weekends. They return to Britain again, having been at Silverstone in the height of the summer. It's a beautiful October weekend at Donington Park as we get to the penultimate race meeting for the European Touring Car Championships and for the FIA GTs. And what better place to come than to Donington Park with its sweeps and corners, its gradient changes and its high-speed challenging straights. Donington Park provides a great opportunity for British drivers to come and excel, and they've been doing pretty well. Let's take a look at the first race in the European Touring Car Championship. Dirk Muller starts on pole position for BMW. Notice away from the grid, Ricard Rydell's Volvo dropping a bit of rear bumper or something on the warm-up lap. A couple of cars at the back of the field. Fabrizio Di Simone there on the left after an engine blow-up in qualifying. And Rob Collard, last starter on the grid now, because his Nissan also dropped an engine during the qualifying day. Fabrizio Giovanardi, the points leader, looking closer and closer to the title, but with 4 races still left, and therefore 40 points on offer, he can still be caught just by third-place man Jörg Muller in the BMW. But he will have to win all 4 races, take maximum points, and have Giovanardi and Larini fail to finish. Away from the start, the BMW's going strongly. It's Jörg Muller from 5th spot on the grid, trying to come around Ricard Rydell, as we see from the onboard camera. He does. Rydell inside Giovanardi, and oh dear, Roberto Colciago across the nose of Dirk Muller, and there's Nicola Larini, bounced up in the air, caught by James Hansen as he tries to get past slow Colciago. Through the middle comes Rob Collard, and 3 of the 4 Alphas right at the tail of the field, or 3 of the 5 Alphas. One of them was a privateer car, but it's BMW Schnitzer cars first and second. Dirk Muller ahead of Jörg Muller, ahead of Ricard Rydell. Pretty much what I'd have put money on away from the grid, David Leslie. The people with the best starting cars, the BMWs, and Ricard Rydell, who of course has raced here so many times, getting the best of the starts.
Yes, we talked about it beforehand, and we know the BMWs can get off the line that much quicker than the front-wheel drive cars, and we reckon they would be first and second, and they are. Ricard stuck to the inside, knew what to do, keep to the inside, to go around the inside. He got his 3rd place. The Alfa Romeos unfortunately had obviously a bit of a bash at the very beginning of the first corner from one of the BMWs, and that set that off, and ended up hitting his teammate, etc. And we have managed to lose a couple, and oh dear, cutting the corner completely. That will earn them a penalty of some description.
Both BMWs out braking themselves. Somebody in the gravel trap as well there from further back was Tom Coronel, but the Schnitzer cars first and second should be penalised. On board now, and this is with Gabriele Tarquini, the 1984 British Touring Car Championship with Alfa Romeo. He won it. Now he's back driving with Alfa, as you see Pierre-Yves de Courthouse with a back bumper hanging off, and he is trying to squeeze his way past Jörg Muller. Jörg, the only BMW driver who can still win the title, and there is Giovanardi right in front of us. Importantly for Nordauto Team Alfa Romeo, Fabrizio Giovanardi survived the first corner bangings, but he's having a fight off Tarquini as Rydell now realistically should be the race leader if Dirk Muller gets penalised. So Rydell here at Donington Park could win for Volvo. He has not yet won this year, nearly won in Sweden, was passed on the final lap for victory, but might yet win here. But that, of course, means that Giovanardi and Tarquini won't speed up at all in the Alphas, This should not necessarily be the greatest Alfa Romeo circuit. It places as much emphasis on chassis and handling as it does on speed. The BMWs and the Volvo have this, and here you see Colciago around the nose of Dirk Muller, and as I predicted, David, pasted to the white line on the inside. Rickard Rydell starting from third on the grid. He knows Donington and how to survive it. Larini starting from way back, having had problems earlier away from the start line, and he gets bounced up in the air. And so Rydell then in second place on the road between the Schnitzer BMs, riding with Tarquini down through the chicane. And Gabrielli, well, as you saw there, over the gravel, so too Rickard Rydell. So now, so far, only Giovanardi has used all the racetrack in 2 successive laps. That's pretty impressive.
We know that during qualifying, some of the cars were penalised for cutting that corner and knocking down the little posts that try and keep you off the grass on the edge. I'm not sure what they're going to do about the people locking up and missing the corner completely. I'm sure somebody somewhere will have said in the driver's briefing, but we've yet to find that one out.
Well, obviously we're not privy to the driver's briefing, merely being scumbag press people, so we'll have to wait and see whether black flags appear over the pit wall. Hopefully if they do, the cameras will pick them up and we'll be able to tell you. Meanwhile, into and out of Redgate and through Hollywood goes Dirk Muller, and a big battle right behind him. Looks like Duncan Heisman was in 5th place, 6th place. Dirk Muller, no, Tom Coronel, so it was Heisman in fact in the gravel earlier on. So Dirk Muller, Rickard Rydell, Jürg Muller close together with Giovanardi and Tarquini. Tom Coronel sticking with them. Coronel, of course, has raced here on a number of occasions, but not that recently. Then Duncan Heisman ahead of Tom Hansen. Tom Hansen? I'm getting my Hansons and Ferriers mixed up. James Hansen, of course. Tom Ferrier further back in the dart racing Alfa Romeo. And unfortunately in English, the teenage Scot, who should have been driving Paolo Roberti's AGS Alfa in the race, crashed heavily down the Craney curves at the old hairpin in practice, and the car too badly damaged. It was his first proper car race. He's done karting, a bit of historic saloon car racing, but not actually raced a modern car of any kind. And unfortunately he put himself out of the fray there. Big surprise for Jürg Muller as he gets it wrong again under braking and finds Giovanardi alongside him. Well, probably no surprise to find Giovanardi alongside him. Further back there, the number 4 car is Colciago, and BMW running out of roads as he gets past. Was that Tommy Rustad going by him? I think it probably was. Actually, it might have been Rob Collard that far back. But again, riding with Gabriele Tarquini. Well, Tarquini's Honda cameras gave us some fantastic views of the closing stages of the last 2 seasons of the European Touring Car Championship. Into the pits, I think that was Nicola Larini, probably a lap down, going in and giving it up. But it's still Dirk Muller who leads in this first, don't forget, of 2 races here at Donington Park. Well, there is may well have been Colciago potentially that went in there. Look for Larini coming through, and boink, getting bounced up in the air over Duncan Heisman, and James Hansen going, come on, get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. Tommy Rustad held right up there behind Colciago. And there is, well, a Nissan now a lap down. I think that must be Rob Collard as the leaders go by. That will break up the battle no matter what Collard tries to do. 26 is Collard, who has joined the team for this weekend. And as we leave the race for a moment, it's still Dirk Muller's, but wait and see what happens. 7 laps into the first European Touring Car race at Donington Park, and the Alfa Romeo's now ahead of Jürg Muller, and that may be one of the final nails in the coffin of his championship challenge. Dirk Muller leads by nearly 3 seconds now from Rickard Rydell, but the Alfas, Giovanardi with the lights on, and Tarquini still all over the back of him, desperate to get by. Really, and forced him off the road there. David, what is Gabriele Tarquini doing? He's passed him now into the Melbourne hairpin. Does he think that he can do something to unsettle and maybe get rid of Rickard Rydell and then allow Giovanardi back past? Looks like he's actually battling him for the championship instead of helping him.
It does. That's not what we expected at all. We simply expected Tarquini and Colciago to come along and help Giovanardi to win the championship, and overtaking him during the race situation and now putting a BMW straight onto the back of his car is not what we were expecting at all. So not sure, maybe Tarquini thinks he's so much faster he can actually go away and reel in Rydell and slow him down in order to try and get Giovanardi up to second. I don't know. But certainly the drivers are in contact with the pits, and I'm sure that Tarquini will have been talking to the team manager on the pit wall and said, I can do this, can I have permission to do it? Because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do that sort of manoeuvre on his own without having permission to do it first. But it does leave Giovanni very vulnerable at the moment to Jörg Müller,
exactly,
who's following him right behind.
One thing Giovanni doesn't want is for Jörg Müller to pick up any more points than he can possibly avoid. At the moment, Giovanni doesn't really have to score hugely. Larini's out, so there's his #1 championship rival gone. The only one remaining is Jörg Müller, as Dirk Müller locks up into right-hander onto the straight, which I can never remember. McLean's Coppice, that's the one. I have to say them in the right order. But, yeah, obviously, well, Tarquini has pulled away a little bit, but, you know, he had to force Giovanardi onto the grass to do so, didn't he? And that may not necessarily be perfectly ideal. Of course, the other plot there, possibly, would be that having been punted off last year by an Alfa, and the year before by an Alfa, and the year before that by an Alfa, he's now gone back to the dark side only to corrupt them from within and try and prevent Giovanardi winning the championship. I can't imagine that he would actually get paid by Nordauto and then do the dirty on them in a million squillion years. But it's a great theory anyway. However, Giovanardi, as you say, David, is desperately under threat from Jörg Müller. Of course, one position more or less might not make a big difference, but Giovanardi really could do without the aggravation, I think. 12th lap of this first race of the European Touring Car Championship at Donington Park. Dirk Müller leading by 1.6 rather than 3 seconds from Rickard Rydell. The tyres going away perhaps on the BMW, or the chassis coming into Rydell. Whatever, it is closing up there. Giovanardi still with Jörg Müller behind him there in 4th place, and Duncan Heisman right in there, and frankly, he may well pass Jörg Müller if he gets the opportunity to. They're not working for the same team, and he'll be just as happy to finish ahead as behind. Tarquini did really need to get away from Giovanardi. He was going a lot quicker. He's closing down Rydell. I don't think he's got time left at the rate of closing to do much about him. And Giovanardi seems to have contained Jörg Müller for the moment, so I think that probably will end up being a stalemate, David, unless Giovanardi really does something bizarre.
It's very easy on this circuit to make the slightest mistake, and the slightest mistake on this circuit will slow you down, because it's such a flowing circuit that goes from one corner to another, with the exception of this little loop that's in here at the back of the pits. So if you make a mistake somewhere on the faster part of the circuit, then yes, the BMW, I'm sure, will capitalise on that. But we can see Tarquini is trying very hard indeed to get to Rydell. Whether he can slow him down sufficiently enough to bring him back into Giovanardi's hands and try and get Giovanardi to get that second place in this race, I think is a bit of a tall order.
Can't see it happening myself. He is closing, but not fast enough. And Giovanardi, well, down at the Melbourne Loop is probably one of the prime places for making a mistake. It's downhill into a hairpin that immediately goes uphill. It's flat, open, featureless, hard to pick out a braking marker lap after lap. You only have to look at it when you get down to the Melbourne Loop. The number of black marks as wheels have locked up tells you all you need to know. The old hairpin, critical for this next fast section through the left-hander at Schwantz Curve, where Nigel Mansell and Tiffany Bell famously made contact many years ago in a British touring car race. And then up to McLean's, and then Coppice, one of the most important corners to get right, because you have the long, fast run down to Fogarty's S's, which is a prime overtaking opportunity. And Rydell, well, he's got Giovanardi slowly reeling him in, but I don't think Giovanardi is closing fast enough. But again, not Giovanardi, Tarquini. Giovanardi really under pressure, and down into the S's here. We might see a final lap move as he defends on the outside. Unless he blows it at the Melbourne hairpin, David, I think he's got that pace tied up now. As a misfire from Jörg Müller. I'm sure that was Müller's car misfiring, and I think we'll find that Heisman gets by him before they get to the hairpin. Dirk Müller will win here at Donington Park. Rickard Rydell claiming another second place, as he did in Sweden, as he did in round 14 of the championship. But let's celebrate as Dirk Müller wins, or watch the team celebrate. Rydell second, Tarquini third, puts himself behind Giovanardi in the restart. And then, no, actually, Jörg Müller, I think they're 5th place ahead of Duncan Heisman. So it'll be Heisman and Jörg Müller on the front row of the grid, the Alphas on row 2, and behind them Rydell and Dirk Müller starting 5th and 6th in that order as they reverse the grid for race 2 here. So David, Jörg Müller will start the next race ideally placed to drive away and win, as Dirk Müller has here, which I guess is probably the best result that he could have expected once he got nudged down the order by the Alphas.
Yes, it was just one of those things. He had to try and make the best of a bad job. He got nudged down just through simple, straightforward overtaking manoeuvres and things like that, and he just hung on in there to score as many points as possible. Unfortunately, there's now more points between himself and the championship leader Giovanardi, but these guys never give up. We have another 3 races to go, one more here at Donington later this afternoon, and another one at Estoril in a couple of weeks' time.
So that puts Giovanardi momentarily onto 116 laps, points rather, and Jörg Müller onto 71. And with 30 points on offer, that would give Jörg 101. So by my calculations, which I have to stress are absolutely nothing to go by, Jörg Müller can now no longer win the championship, no matter what Giovanardi does. He has an unassailable lead to Jörg Müller. He'll have 116 points, Larini on 85 as he fails to score, and that will be the title for Giovanardi, because even if Larini claims all the points, he only goes up to 115, and Giovanardi's already got 116. So by my quick arithmetic, that makes Fabrizio Giovanardi the champion right now. We'll wait and see what happens in race 2 and see if he can maybe cap his Donington weekend with a podium finish, maybe even a win. Join us after the break as we go live to race 2. Welcome back to Donington Park, live on Eurosport, round 9 of the LG Super Racing weekend, ready for the 18th race in the FIA European Touring Car Championship. 2 more races after this at Estoril in Portugal at the end of the month, but the title now cannot be lost by Fabrizio Giovanardi, unless, of course, there's some post-race appeal. Thomas Engo will know all about that after the end of the F3000 Championship. But at the moment, well, with the points, of course, Giovanardi didn't get 10 points for winning, so my mental arithmetic went straight out the window. I gave him 10 points for winning. But, he can just about be caught by Nicola Larini. In that case, if Nicola Larini wins the 3 remaining races and Giovanardi fails to score all but a couple of points. So Duncan Heisman on pole position here after finishing 6th in the first race. Let's hear from him.
Dirk Müller, now to have a double win like in Eurosport, you're gonna fight with Jörg, your teammate, but also Volvo and Alfa, like usual.
I mean, for sure, Jörg is a good friend of mine, but being on the weekend, we are actually fighting against each other. He actually is in front right now. I catched him with the first race, and they're going to think that I have a brilliant car for the second race. But, I mean, that is just internal. I'm really looking forward. Larini is still catchable, and I like to be second in championship, so I'm really looking forward. Unfortunately, I'm 6th right now, and it's a hard way coming through. But I did the same in Oschersleben, so I like to win also the second race. But it's gonna.
Thank you.
Okay. So Dirk Müller, in fact, we meet on the grid, who was the winner of the first race. Is my mental arithmetic not quite as brilliant as it could have been? The arithmetic was all right, but for some reason I gave Fabrizio Giovanardi 10 points, even though he was only in 4th spot in race 1. So just to recap, Dirk Müller won race 1 at a canter from pole position. Ricard Rydell 2nd for Volvo. Fabrizio Giovanardi was 3rd, ahead of 4th rather, behind Gabriele Tarquini. 5th in the race was Jörg Müller, 6th Duncan Heisman. And after a beautifully sunny weekend, David Leslie, threatening skies overhead, although I don't think they will drop rain early enough to actually affect this race.
No, the skies over Donington do get dark every now and again. If the rain does come, this circuit becomes a very slippery circuit indeed, more slippery than you would normally expect from most of the racing circuits around Europe. And that would certainly make it very interesting indeed. You can see the skies there if you're looking up. It is very, very dark indeed overhead on certain parts. Now, whether that's going to arrive in time to give us a wet race or not, I sincerely hope not, because the racing, as we've seen from the first race, is very close and very interesting. So without having the rain will just make it much more spread out and put a few cars onto the grass or into the wall, and a few accidents, which we're not looking for really. We're looking for a good, clean, interesting race, and we've got enough drivers and cars here to make that in the drawing.
Well, the wind is blowing that big grey mass away, but look over there behind the pit lane, behind those hospitality boxes, you can see another bank of clouds coming in. So on the left-hand side of the picture, those clouds will go, but on the right-hand side of the picture, who knows? The crowd seem fairly committed to a bright, sunny October afternoon. Can you believe it? October the 6th, it's shirt sleeve order and a little warm for everybody. Well, as the wind continues to chop and change direction, everybody getting ready to go, assuming the best and assuming a dry race. And there you see on pole position, Duncan Heisman for BMW Great Britain, the team run by Carly Motorsport. And we hear from the paddock or from the FIA of confirmation of next year's rules. They're starting to be firmed up. Sequential gearboxes will be allowed, although the wording of the announcement, David, has caught a couple of teams by surprise. Everybody sort of assumed you'd be able to choose your manufacturer, but the FIA's wording suggests that perhaps it says literally the homologation of a specific gearbox with a sequential control has been authorised. We might possibly be moving into controlled gearbox there. I'm not really sure how that's going to end up, though.
I'm not sure either. I mean, I read the thing earlier this week, and it does say homologation of a specific gearbox with sequential control. But having talked to a couple of the teams, they're under the impression that they can pick whichever sequential gearbox they want to put into there. But that just seems to be a bit of a grey area at the moment. I'm sure somebody in the future will let us know exactly what it's going to be. But one or two other little bits and pieces they're trying to settle for next year. If you do take the sequential gearbox, then you have to carry 30 kilograms more than if you carry on with the H-pattern gearbox that we have at this moment in time. The rest of the cars are using. Some of the teams with less money will think the sequential box is better because there's less chance of over-revving the engine and having engine rebuilds.
Importantly also, they're introducing a standard data logging system which will read things like throttle position, engine revs, wheel speed, gear position and so on, to try and make sure that there is no chance of traction control coming in with engine and gearbox being linked with a sequentially controlled system. So power on upshifts and engine flipping on the downshift will be allowed, but having throttle position at wide open and wheel position, wheel speeds not quite relating to that, will be spotted hopefully by the FIA's standard additional data logger. It won't be an engine management system, it will be a data logger to try and make sure that traction control doesn't creep its way in. On board with Gabriele Tarquini and then with Rickard Rydell. By the way, Tommy Rustad and Fabrizio Di Simone will not restart here. Rustad with, we believe, a mechanical problem. Di Simone went off at the old hairpin in race one. Nicola Larini in the pits. Now, whether he'll be able to start from the pit lane or not, we're not yet sure, but here is our grid as they stand. Heisman, Muller, Jörg, Fabrizio Giovanardi apparently this weekend, and Gabriele Tarquini. So the all-red row 2 of Alfa Romeo, Rydell and Dirk Muller on row 3 ahead of Tom Coronel and Tom Ferrier. Tom Coronel in the BMW GB car, Tom Ferrier, the British driver, in the Dart Racing Alfa Romeo. James Hansen, another Brit, behind him in 9th place ahead of Salvatore Tavano. Sandro Sardelli also going reasonably well now towards the end of the season. Those Honda Civics finally starting to respond to a bit of massaging. And Rob Collard, who was bundled out in race 1, will start down towards the back. Well, he's shown on the grid in 14th position. There he is towards the back of the queue. So no Tommy Rustad Nissan here. David, again, speaking of Bob Neville of RTN Motorsport that runs these cars, they've been testing their new shape Primera, and they're hoping to get a green light to run it in Estoril in the final round of the championship, which will be an interesting change for sure.
Yes, they've been out 2 or 3 times with the car, and they're very pleased with the car, the way it's going. They really need to now take it to a race meeting to find out what it's like compared to the rest of the cars in the actual championship. So they're hoping that for the very last race of the season they will take this new shape Primera rather than the older blue one that we see here in this race to the last race. So whether that happens or not, they're not sure at this moment in time. The car is ready, or just about ready. It has been testing, so it is up and running. So they would like to do that if possible. So if they can get a few agreements to do that, then yes, it will be there. And hopefully it will make life a little bit more interesting at the last race.
What a shame you're on holiday that weekend, otherwise perhaps your Nissan touring car experience would be very welcomed at Shea Neville. So coming round onto the grid then, this is race 18 of 20 in the European Touring Car Championship, and cancel everything I said before about the series being decided in favour of Fabrizio Giovanardi. It isn't yet. I was miscounting my chickens and jumping the gun. David pointing to one of the Alphas pulling off on the side. It's not Giovanardi or Tarquini. In fact, it looked like the number 4 car of Colciago had maybe got himself a little further up the order. Tom Ferrier perhaps? No, it looks like it might be him on the left-hand side further back. Oh no, you're right, there is a hole there. Maybe it is Tom Ferrier. David's saying it absolutely is, and I'll go with his eyesight every time. He's a driver after all. So green flags wave at the back of the grid, revs rise. No Nicola Larini, his championship challenge surely must be ended. And as Dirk Muller said, the chance to pass him for second is not lost on Jörg. And Dirk Muller comes between the two Alphas. Jörg Muller has romped away from, no, I beg your pardon, he hasn't. It's Duncan Heisman who's romped away. Jörg Muller in second, Dirk Muller in third. And the number 2 Alpha has not started from the end of the pit lane, so Larini's championship is off. Rydell pulls off in the first turn. Ricard Rydell, with clearly a mechanical problem, pulls off. There is Larini's car in the pit lane. So no Nicola Larini, no championship chance for him. Now then, on board with Gabriele Tarquini, BMWs 1, 2 and 3. Giovanardi in 4th place. Tarquini didn't get a good run, obviously, out of Redgate and down the Craners, because he's having to play catch-up to Giovanardi. And a man with Tarquini's huge experience of Donington Park, dating back to Formula 2 days, or Formula 3000 days, and all the way through his British touring car career. Can't imagine that Giovanardi was actually quicker than him through Redgate on his own auspices. And again, we see Giovanardi being caught and passed first lap by Tarquini. So Giovanardi staying out of trouble and leaving Tarquini to sort out the BMWs, and there is the pass for the lead. That's Jörg Muller leading, Dirk Muller second, as Duncan Heisman gets it wrong under braking. And here comes Tarquini up into 3rd spot. Now what he needs to do is try and take points away, because of course he's working for Nord Auto, so if he can take points away from the Mullers by maybe winning the race even, then that helps Nicola Larini, even though Larini's sitting on the pit wall going, curse my luck.
Yes, he's there to try and take as many points away from the BMW as possible. Here he is, side by side. Now they're touching each other going down the straight. You can see the cars moving around as they were.
See his head moving over in the mirror as well as he watches what Jörg Dirk Muller is doing. And he didn't quite get by there. Oh, and Dirk Muller's across his nose! Side by side through Hollywood. Dirk Muller gets spun out. So Gabriele Tarquini in 2nd place. Dirk comes back on the grass. Oh, it's slippery out there, David. It hasn't rained in Britain for about, oh, I don't know, what, 3 months now or something? And that is the 16 car of Eric Carroll being pulled away after going off at the old hairpin on lap 1. But that's bad news for Dirk Muller. Bad news too for Jörg Muller, because Tarquini is now in 2nd.
Yes, Tarquini certainly got onto the back of him and kept the foot hard into it. And as Muller was trying to shut the door, that just wasn't going to happen, and he got spun round the front of Tarquini. Tarquini managed to keep going, and I must admit, Dirk Muller did a superb job on the grass to try and keep it going and not spin it away and hit a wall or something. He managed to get back on. It's a long way down now, but even he will be trying his hardest to come up through the field to score at least 1 point if possible.
Well, now that puts Giovanardi, of course, in 4th place, which is another 3 points, and he doesn't have to score big here. He's got a huge lead just to preserve, but can he do that? BMW's queuing up behind him, and where's he gone? Where's Giovanardi? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, Giovanardi. No, there was an Alfa off at Coppice in the back of the picture. That can't have been Giovanardi, surely. Didn't see, the cameras didn't close in on him. There is Tom Coronel being chased by Jordi Genet, who had an engine blow yesterday. Has Giovanardi really gone off at Coppice? Wow. Well, there's Larini's car, damaged after race 1.
They certainly didn't manage to get that put back together. So now the race has started, they've sort of given up and it's just sitting there. but we're at a loss at the moment exactly what's happened to Giovinazzi.
Well, this is really where you need a director who knows a bit about motorsport and encourages the cameraman to look around in the gravel traps and find the car that's missing. He is the championship points leader. He could have won the title for sure in this 18th round of the series. But Giovinazzi crosses the line in 7th place then, but I don't see him. There is Tarquini, he's 3rd. No, he's not, of course, he's 2nd, so there we go. It's Muller leading, Tarquini 2nd, Heisman 3rd, Coronel 4th, Genet 5th.
Hansen's in 6th, because we've seen Rydell going out as a Volvo that's in 6th.
And there is Rydell's car parked in front of lots of Ferraris. And yes, Rydell's broken left front corner. And there is Hansen under pressure now as Giovinazzi tries to fight back. So it wasn't him in the gravel traps.
But certainly something's happened to him. I'm not sure what, but certainly something on the last lap happened to Giovinazzi. He suddenly dropped back all the way behind those BMWs and behind Hansen.
Bump from a BMW, I would have thought, was probably most likely. Hansen's fighting him off. Go on, James. That's it. Stick it down the inside. He can't get by if you do that. Up the hill is a different matter. Hansen again with the racing line, though. And there again, Tom Coronel holding off Jordi Genet. And that will be for the final podium spot, of course, at the moment. And Sardelli, or is it Tavano? Tavano probably in the better placed at the start of the Hondas, right up behind Giovinazzi. Now giving a very good account of himself there. Let's have a look as they go through the corner. And just don't follow him, obviously, but we try and pick up which...
there we've got the Hansen, Giovinazzi and Dirk Muller right behind Giovinazzi. Is it? No, it's a little Honda, and then Dirk Muller.
It's the Honda and then Dirk Muller. So as we ride on board with Gabriele Tarquini, 2nd place. Now he was able to slightly close down the BMWs here in race 1. And I think really, David, probably the fastest of the Alpha drivers. Is not a surprise because he does know this circuit extremely well indeed. Well, probably better than Jürgen Dirk Muller do, that's for sure. So that all helps him to use what power the Alpha can produce, which is plenty, to close down the BMW slowly, slowly, slowly.
Yes, once the race gets into its stride as it is now, then he'll just have to work away, and he'll be looking at trying to take about a 1/10 of a second at a time away from the BMW in front. There's no great lumps to be found at this level of racing. The level is so very, very close out there at the front of the grid. So they'll be out there, and he'll just work away a little bit on the braking. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, as long as he doesn't miss a hairpin like the Goddard hairpin we're watching him go around at the moment, then he should be able to edge his way. But it will take time. We certainly will not catch him in 1 or 2 laps.
Last lap was the fastest of the race for Jörg Muller, our race leader. I bet you fastest race lap this time round is Gabriele Tarquini sitting with him. You can see him catching Dirk Muller, Jörg Muller rather, in 1st place. We'll have to wait for confirmation of that, but for my money, Tarquini is the quickest man on the circuit at the moment. Although, having said that, Heisman sticking right with him. The gap is fractionally coming down, Tarquini, to Muller. Now, Heisman's sticking to his task really well, I think. 4th place, Coronel easing away from Genet. As the race continues to be led by the BMW of Jörg Muller, man who lies 3rd in the championship. We'll take a short break. Stay with us, live on Eurosport. Welcome back to Donington Park, live round 18 of the FIA European Touring Car Championship. And Jörg Muller still leading here at Donington Park in bright and sunny October conditions. A warm and wonderful weekend for spectating. Some great racing in race 1 and some good stuff here in race 2. And Muller, David Leslie, just about holding the gap over Gabriele Tarquini, over a second in the last couple of laps. But Tarquini is really pushing him all the way.
Yeah, Tarquini's trying very hard. He knows it's up to him now to try and take as many points away from BMW as possible. Alfa Romeo have been on top most of this year. They certainly were very, very dominant at the beginning of the year, and they feel as though they're losing a little bit of that, and they brought in the 2 extra drivers to help them this weekend to tie up the Manufacturers' Championship as well as they try and tie up the Drivers' Championship. And the one that's left out there doing that is not their own 2 drivers, but in actual fact one of the people they brought in, Gabriele Tarquini. So he's out there. He would have very much liked to go out and win this race, and in doing so, I'm sure he will go to the team and say, look, I'm this good, and can I have a job for next year, please? Because he has run this year without a drive all year. He's not actually been racing in a championship as such, and he very much wants to be back in, and having been in this championship previously, he would very much like a job next year at Alfa Romeo, if at all possible.
Absolutely right, and I can't think of too many drivers better to join the Alfa squad than Gabriele Tarquini. Won the British Touring Car Championship with him, won the Italian Touring Car Championship with him before that. He's raced for Honda most recently in the last 2 or 3 years, but now, as you say, with Honda not taking part in this year's ETC without a drive. Well, James Hansen, unfortunately, retiring the second Volvo in the last 2 laps here at Donington Park. So Rickard Rydell pulled off early. James Hansen now also out of the race. Duncan Heisman there, chasing down the hill in 3rd place through the Craner curves. He's shaken off Audi Trenet and has closed right up on Tarquini. Coronel 5th, still ahead of Giovanardi in 6th position. James Hansen was battling with Giovanardi, and as we know, he has now lost that 6th position. So whether that will affect Giovanardi or not, he will get a single point for this, which will move him on to a total of 110 if he finishes where he is now. And Jörg Müller will go from 71 to 81 points, which will put him realistically out of shot of Tarquini, but at the moment, Nicola Larini will leave Donington with the number of points with which he arrived, David, only 85. So a win here will put Jörg Müller, by my pathetic counting, 4 points behind behind Tarquini, behind Nicola Larini. And we heard Dirk Müller at the start saying that he would like to be able to challenge for runner-up spot in the championship. Possibly, if he can garner a point even from here, he might be able to, but Jörg Müller now will be the Schnitzer man. I think he'll leave Donington in the best position as he was when he arrived. So, closing stages of race 2 then. Don't forget, later on we have the highlights of the 3-hour FIA GT counter as well. And that will produce an interesting result with some pretty spectacular racing as well. So if you've enjoyed the touring cars, and again, despite the fact that Alfa Romeo in the points make it look like it's been a very dominant season for them, even when Alfa Romeo have scored 1-2 victories, we've seen some pretty spectacular door-to-door racing. In fact, I have to say, unfortunately, David, here at Donington, this second race is one of the dullest we've seen all year so far. Since the opening couple of laps, there's not really been an awful lot going on to keep the spectators excited.
No, I think what happened in the first lap or 2 laps, they all got very excited and had a go at each other. They're missing the chicane or having a go at the first corner, when we've seen Rickard obviously got a hit from somewhere to damage that left-hand front wheel. But we're now getting to the point where Duncan Heisman has managed to catch Gabriele Tarquini, and now he'll have a go. He's got nothing to lose to get past an Alfa Romeo. He's out there to do the best job he can for himself and BMW. So he's got the one of the British BMWs that we keep talking about, and he'll be out there to try and get the best possible point score, and he'll have no worries about the fact that the car in front is red.
No, absolutely. He, of course, battled Peter Cox for last year's Super Production title, and in the end lost out at the final round as he was nerfed off by Cox into the first corner away from the restart, and so he'll be looking to finish this season as high up the points as he possibly can. And in Heisman's territory, any points at all are likely to vault him way up the order. At the moment he is, almost lacking completely in points, so anything he scores here will move him sort of up into top 10 in the championship territory, which isn't saying a great deal. However, this will be, a podium finish for him would be a great result indeed. I think probably the problem with this race is that the only driver of a red car who's actually got anything to prove is Tarquini. It will do Giovanardi no good at all to race for the lead and get knocked off and score no points. Larini's stuck in the pits and was, during race 1, effectively out of action as well. Colciago out of action effectively in both races as well. As you said, The Volvos, not only of James Hansen, but particularly of Rickard Rydell, also out of action in this race. So we've actually got the two Schnitzer cars. Dirk Muller was punted off down the Craner curves, or hooked up across the nose of Tarquini, perhaps a little less judgmentally, and went spun off down the Craner curves. So, in fairness, we've got Jörg Muller and Tarquini, both of whom need to race for the win, and Heisman, who needs to race for the win, and the rest of them actually have got nothing to prove at all. And so that's, or are out of action, and so that's really where all our excitement has gone. Now we have to watch Heisman as he tries to pass Tarquini. And I tell you what, Duncan, that's a pretty tough task around here.
It is, as we said earlier, Gabriel has been here a number of times. He's raced in Britain for quite a few years since he first came over with Alfa Romeo to really attack in the British Touring Car Championship. And that first year when he came over, they absolutely annihilated everyone in the championship that year and walked away with it with a resounding victory. It didn't work for them the second year when they were here, but Gabriel has been in Britain ever since, basically, and he knows the circuit very well indeed, so he can make that car very wide. On the paces, it needs to be very wide. So when it comes to the tight part right behind the pit area, where you see the S's down to the hairpin and back up to Goddard's, then I'm sure he will keep to the inside, and Duncan Heisman will find it very difficult to get that BMW past him. On these faster bits, he'll stick to the line and he'll make it work as best as he can, because he knows he's got a good car out there, and with that speed that he's carrying through these fast corners, there isn't the same opportunity to overtake as you have on the much slower stuff. But somewhere further back, there is this battle between Giovanardi and Dirk Muller. We know Dirk Muller was right behind Giovanardi, but now he looks as though he's just that little bit, as we're watching from his car, a little bit further behind than I was expecting. I was expecting that, as he was on Giovanardi's tail earlier, he'd be stuck to it like glue, if not trying very hard to be alongside him and overtaking.
But don't forget, of course, after that spin on the grass, probably wouldn't have damaged his tyres too much, but then he was right at the back, so he's done more overtaking than the rest of the field combined just to get back up to Giovanardi. And Giovanardi, fortunately for Dirk, bottled up behind these BMWs, and now, you see, you get to the stage where he's thinking, damn, if only I'd passed these guys a few laps earlier, because he now might be in the position where he loses what to him is probably a fairly unimportant single point for sixth place, but for Dirk Muller's race to try and overhaul not only his teammate but also Jörg Muller, but also Nicola Larini, at that point for Dirk Muller might be important. Giovanardi gets ahead of Tom Coronel, so puts one BMW behind him. And notice the taped up nose on Giovanardi's car as well. I hadn't spotted that before after race one. And well, when you are riding with Gabriele Tarquini in an Alfa Romeo, it's pretty much a masterclass of how to drive a front-wheel drive car as fast as it'll go. Despite that, in the closing stages, Jörg Muller, I think, David, has got more tyre left on the BMW than Tarquini has in the Alfa Romeo. As a front-wheel drive driver, that looked like a big handful of, well, not of opposite lock, of understeer he was trying to kill there through the old hairpin.
Yes, it was. He came through there very quick indeed, and he just sort of ran wide, not just onto the curb on the outside, but then again onto the dirt on the other side. And that's not pure dirt. You can see as you come out of that corner there, just behind the curb, there's like a matting, and that's exactly what it is. There's a matting buried into the ground, so that should you run over the curb and onto that grass, it doesn't start digging up masses of stones and suddenly throwing bricks and things at the spectators, but the matting is there to try and keep the dirt and the dust and the stones down, should you use a little bit more of the surface than the actual black stuff that you're supposed to be on.
Now Tarquini obviously hanging on still from Heisman in third spot. I don't think Heisman will toss that away for a really rash move on Tarquini. On the other hand, if there is half a chance, he'll go for it, and whoa! Now that's a quick reverse shot there. There's 3 different camera angles in the same corner. That's bizarre. I was going to say, that's the real problem for Tarquini, is trying to keep his slightly more worn front tyres under control under braking there, and he did just lose it, and Heisman drives inside him. Can he get hooked up off the corner better? Tarquini uses all the road and gets better drive away. Back with Dirk Muller. And oh dear, well, inside Coronel at the same spot, alongside Coronel at the same spot. Coronel's not going to wave him by, he'll have to fight for that. And ahead of him, well, this is for 6th place. Coronel's inside though, can't go by there. And that's Tarquini in 3rd. On board with Tarquini, down the Craner curves now. And Heisman did get by him into Redgate, so he somehow managed to out-drag him on the straight. And I think that's probably where Gabriele will stay again, David, all over the road there as they came out of the old hairpin. think he's really starting to run low on grip compared to the BMW.
Yes, we've said this before with the BMW being rear-wheel drive. But when they brake, they're using the front tyres. When they accelerate, they're using the rear tyres. Whereas the front-wheel drive cars like the Alfa Romeo, they do everything through the front tyres. When they brake, they're using the front tyres. When they accelerate, they use the front tyres. And therefore, the grip level goes down a little bit quicker on the front-wheel drive cars than it does the rear-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, the rear wheels on a front-drive touring car basically serve to keep the exhaust off the ground and stop the bumper dragging and stop it making a horrible noise. They don't do anything other than follow the nose. But the BMW spreads the workload more evenly, and as a result, not only tends to have a slightly better balance in cornering and braking, but also spreads the wear across the tyres. So it looks like Heisman will score by far and away his best result of the season with a second place here at Donington Park. Schnitzer driver Jörg Müller with the headlights ablaze. And he will have enjoyed that race, boring though it was for him. It was a technical operation, start from pole, slide it out the final corner, up under the pit wall, wave to the Schnitzer team as you take the checkered flag. Victory for Schnitzer, Cardi Motorsport in second, Nordauto Alfa Romeo in third place with Gabriele Tarquini. But the real question is who gets the point for sixth, and it is, I think, Tom Coronel ahead of Dirk Müller. No, Dirk Müller maybe ahead of Tom Coronel. The Alfa was certainly ahead of the BMWs. I think maybe Dirk Müller might have got sixth position there from Tom Coronel. So, well, Giovanardi possibly in fifth place there. Wait for the timing screens to give us confirmation. There is Heisman, who finished in second spot, of course. Genet should be fourth. Giovanardi fifth. Dirk Müller did get past Tom Coronel at the end. We caught a flash of them going across the line and did think that the GB car had been pushed down to seventh. So Dirk Müller gets what might, by the end of the weekend at Estoril, be a vital single point in round 18. Of course, two more races left to go, and David has re-added up the adding up, and Fabrizio Giovanardi claimed a minuscule 5 points from Donington Park, which is actually the second lowest he's claimed all year from a race weekend, but he is still the 2002 European Touring Car Champion. Welcome back to Donington Park. After round 18 of the FIA Touring Car Championship, finally we have, well, David Leslie, probably the championship result everybody would have predicted at the beginning of the season. Fabrizio Giovanardi and Alfa Romeo have claimed the driver's title, but it was a win apiece for Dirk and Jörg Müller in the two races. So BMW still hot on the heels of Nicola Larini for the runner-up spot in the series. Victory in race one for Dirk Müller, victory in race two for Jörg Müller. Disappointment for Nicola Larini, 0 point for him. And disappointment also for Ricard Rydell, the Volvo driver, drops out of contention for the runner-up spot. But Jörg Müller will go to Estoril 4 points behind Larini, and Dirk Müller on 69 to Larini's 85 mathematically could also win the title. Well, there you see the finishers outside the top half dozen. Rob Collard getting his Nissan at least to the flag. And there in the centre of the picture, Duncan Heisman, delighted with second place and congratulated by compatriot Tom Coronel on a job well done. Well, let's go down to the pit lane and talk to some happy faces.
Fabrizio Giovanardi, adesso è fatto, siete campioni.
Direi di sì, abbiamo vinto tutto quello che si aveva
Giovanardi being confirmed as the 2002 European Touring Car Champion. And of course you don't need me to tell you that it's been a long and uphill battle for Giovanardi and the team. Giovanardi, of course, keeping his nose clean this weekend, the vital thing. Didn't really think that they could
So now you're the
pass the BMWs.
You won both titles.
Not both. Alfa Romeo won the both. I won just the diving championship, so I'm really happy because I think everybody we did a fantastic job. The Alfa Romeo and all the guys. We did really few mistakes, and so we won everything. I think. Welcome.
Well, just the one thing left for them to win, really. As he says, they won the team's title and they have also won the driver's title. But look at Nicola Larini, perilously poised in second spot. And I'm sure Monica Sips at Nord Auto would love to tie up a 1-2 in the driver's title as well. But both Jörg and Dirk Mullers can win, or can, in Estoril, overhaul Nicola Larini. So now the three other Nord Auto cars must support Larini at Estoril to try and gather second in the championship for him. Nord Auto the champion team, Alfa the champion manufacturer. But let's hear our winner, Jörg Muller.
Jörg Muller, you won the second race, so you know you can fight for the second place of the title.
I don't know where Larini ended at the end. If it's possible, I would like to fight for the second place. But I mean, Dirk and me, we both made the same points. I think. No, I think I'd made one more. So that's more important for me at the moment to be best BMW. And with 10 kilos, I was happy this weekend again. I hope I'm not on kilos again next race, but I think we will have some again. Huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, of course, he's talking about the penalties for the people that score most points over the weekend, and it will be him again, I'm afraid, because Giovanardi and Larini didn't really score very well. None of the other podium finishers were regulars, so it will be Jörg Muller with 30 kilos, I think Dirk Muller with 20 kilos, and I reckon, actually, Fabrizio Giovanardi probably with the 10 kilo added penalty. So that is it as far as the outright title goes, but at Estoril in a fortnight's time, runner-up spot will be hotly contested by the BMW drivers and by Nicola Larini. We have got, of course, the GT race coming up later this evening. So don't forget, 1900 Central European time, that is 6 on British Eurosport. The FIA GT race highlights. Round 9 of the 10 race series, the title up for grabs. It's about as close as you could possibly wish. And all the contenders here with a whole host of extra cars from the British series as well to keep us occupied. So, you're seeing some of the highlights of what has been a very dramatic FIA GT race. Join myself, Martin Haven and David Leslie, 6 on British Eurosport, 1900 across Europe for the FIA GT's penultimate round this evening. Until then, from Donington Park, from David Leslie and from myself, it's bye until 6 o'clock this evening. Bye for now.
With LG Electronics, digitally yours. That was the LG Super Racing Weekend.